This is Bethany Beasley doing the echocardiogram video submission protocol. I've got my block here and I've painted one side to show where the indicator would be, and my patient laying on their left side. I'm going to use this seam as my midline reference. So starting in parasternal long axis, you would point your indicator towards patient's right shoulder and place your transducer left of the midline slightly. So in this image, you're going to see your parasternal long axis. You would have your left atrium, left ventricle, mitral valve, interventricular septum, and aorta. You would do your cine loops, your color sweep, your M-mode measurements through all of these points. And then you would move on to your pulmonic valve. So you're going to pan superiorly for your pulmonic valve, where you would do your cine loop, color compare, and Doppler measurements. Pan inferiorly for your tricuspid valve, where you would do your cine loop, color compare, and your Doppler measurements. And then you would move on to your parasternal short axis. So you're going to turn your indicator towards your patient's left shoulder. And this will give you your parasternal short axis view. You have to pan a little superiorly to start with your aortic valve. So you're going to have your aortic valve, you do your cine loop, you do your color compare, and you'd run your M mode through there. And then you would do a color compare of your pulmonic valve, which is in your window with your Doppler, and then your tricuspid valve, which is in this window as well for your Doppler. And then you would pan inferiorly for your mitral valve, where you'll do cine loop, color compare, and M mode. Inferiorly again, you'd have your left ventricle at papillary level, and then you would do your cine loop, your color, and your M mode. Inferiorly again, you would be at your apex of the heart, where you would do your wall motion, just cine loop. And then you would move on to your apical four-chamber. Apical four-chamber, patient is still on their left side, indicator pointed towards 3 o'clock, placing your transducer underneath the left breast. And this would give you your four-chamber view, where you can see all of the chambers and the mitral valve and tricuspid valve. You would take your Simpson's measurements, do your color compares, run your Doppler through your mitral valve, do your Valsalva. Then you would do TDI of the medial and lat annulus, and then you would do your pulmonary veins, color, and Doppler. You would move superiorly to get your apical 5-chamber, where you would do cine loop, color compare, and Doppler for your aorta. Then you would move to the right heart, where you would do your modified Simpson's measurements, your tricuspid valve, color compare, and Doppler. You would do TDI of the tricuspid valve, lat annulus, and your TAPSE measurements with your M mode of your tricuspid valve, lat annulus. And then you would move on to your 2-chamber measurements. You're going to turn your indicator in between 12 and 2. This will give you your 2-chamber, where you will see the left ventricle and left atrium. You'll take your Simpson's measurements. In these, do your color compare, run your Doppler through your mitral valve again. Then you're going to turn your indicator in between 12 and 2, 11 and 2. It varies on each patient. We're going to do just 12 o'clock here on this, if you can see it. And then that will give you your 3-chamber, where you're going to do your cine loop, your color compare, and Doppler if you need to. And then you're going to move your patient to the supine position, come back to the midline of the body underneath the patient's sternum with your transducer indicator pointed towards you, or 3 o'clock. Push in and pan superiorly. Have your patient take a deep breath, and you'll view the 4-chamber subcostal view. You'll do a cine loop, and then you'll do a color sweep to check the atrial septum and the ventricular septum. You're going to turn your indicator to 12 o'clock, push in and superiorly to view your IVC. You're going to do color in your IVC. You're going to take a diameter measurement of your IVC, and you're going to do the sniff test with your patient to check for collapsibility of your IVC. And then you're going to move on to the suprasternal notch. You're going to put your transducer in the notch of the neck, push inferiorly, indicator pointed towards the patient's left ear, thereabouts, or 3 o'clock. Have your patient turn their head slightly. Sometimes this helps. In this view, you can see part of the ascending aorta, the aortic arch, and then the descending aorta, where you would take your cine loop. You would do color compare for your ascending and your descending aorta, and then you would run continuous wave Doppler through both of those points. And that is your entire protocol.